when COVID hit and we were all working from home, there was that fine balance of us working at home and children coming into the screens and saying, Mom, what are you doing? Or I'm hungry. Or
getting those physical shows of affection. I'm not as physical, like I don't always do that the way that Kam does.
having grace, remember to always integrate your calendars and find your community and being able to delegate. And at the end of the day, don't forget about yourself. So we're going to talk about leading like a mother, right? And everybody always says, I'm also the mom of ITBD. It's sometimes mom's all love, but sometimes you get in trouble too from mom, right? So you gotta, and it's our job to make sure that we make our families the best that they can and our children the best that they can. And so I wanted to just start by saying, okay, we can lead like mothers, we can balance everything together. So it is a balancing act, right? And I always say it's the art of multitasking. Some days I'll be giving a keynote and breakfast maybe, hey, Starbucks or some burnt toast, like here's some toast with peanut butter, and that's okay. It is a constant juggling act, especially for working moms. In India and in Philippines, some of you are working night shifts as well. You've got to try to you see your kids off in the morning to school, you go to sleep, you wake up, you're receiving them and getting them home, you're doing their homework, you're getting them, fed for dinner, and then off you're going to work. And so it is juggling. And there is no right balance. It's always going to be imperfect. Sometimes being a mom at home is going to take a little bit more time than being at work, but you're going to find that balance for yourselves. It's going to be a daily challenge. And you have to understand excellence is not always required. You've got to be okay with some days having just good enough, right? And that you did it. And so it is a balancing act. Okay. There's never one day where you're always perfect. And I don't think there ever is a perfect. I think that it's a constant juggle. And so I'm always balancing things and trying to be my best version, but I'm also always giving myself a lot of grace and saying it's okay. Children are resilient. And I think my children are, they're proud of the fact that their mom is successful and is able to contribute and is providing more for them because I am able to work and do that. And so a lot of us feel guilt sometimes, right? Especially with little kids, sometimes you've got like pajama days and Shanu forgot to take his pajamas, and then I get a call. I'm on calls, and he's like, "You got to bring this stuff." I didn't bring it with me, and it's okay, right? It takes an emotional toll on us moms. We feel guilty, like, "Oh my God, I wasn't there. I couldn't do this. I didn't get to go to every soccer game. I didn't get to take him to every swimming practice." What I will say for me, my success was building a community. It was making sure that we found a good balance. If we were taking the boys to swimming, I would have a friend that maybe I would take on X days and she would take on Y days. So we could balance each other's lives out, and building that community is very helpful for us women. Maybe somebody's dropping off the kids in your neighborhood and you're picking up the kids and bringing them home. That way you can each help one another out. We need to understand that it's okay. We're going to make mistakes. In the grand scheme of things, when your child is 30 with his own children, he's not going to remember that mom forgot the pajamas. He's really not. And so it seems big in our minds sometimes, but it's not in the grand scheme of things that big. We just have to remember to teach our children and ourselves that, imperfection is okay. We all make mistakes. And even for our children to know that it's okay to make mistakes. That's part of our journey. And sometimes for us, forgiveness does take time, right? And our children, believe me, Shanu likes to remind me quite a bit. You forgot this, you forgot that, right? And I have to remind him about all the things that I did remember, and remind them as well to appreciate what they do have. Sometimes it's hard for kids, especially when they're little, but I think we're teaching them to be appreciative of what they have rather than what they didn't get. And that's okay. I always used to laugh. I said, I'll take you to soccer practices and that's not a problem. And if I missed one, that's okay. I didn't really expect my children to become messy. And I didn't see that much, love and passion for it. If I had, of course, I'd make sure that I was able to make it there. But I had a community to help me as well. I had my in-laws; they were in the house with us. My dad was always dropping people off, coming back. I had friends. One of us would drop off on Kumon, another one would pick them up. There's always a community that you can help yourselves with. So don't be so hard on yourself. It is, mom guilt is real, and we all feel it sometimes. But we have to just take a moment and say it's okay. And you have to be able to forgive yourself. Sometimes you'll actually even notice, I laugh that I'm ITBD's mom, but there is a crossover between, the office and work, our parenting skills at home versus our leadership skills, right? For example, we're always teaching our kids use your inside voice, right? And sometimes we're like, okay, in meetings, we're like, okay, let's tone that down a little. How can we make it softer, right? We at home, we're like, let's take turns speaking, and in meetings, we're like, hey, we want to make sure we get everybody's opinion and buy-in during a meeting. Parenting, we're like, hey, what's your goal here? What do you want from me? And then even in meetings, we're like, let's keep the team focused, sometimes we have to say, hey, this is, we could do better. Right. And we're saying that to our children, and we're like, hey, what could you have done that could have helped you and really done better? Recently, Rohan, he was like, Mom, I think I didn't do that well on my test. I second guessed myself. I rewrote something. I had the right answer the first time. And you have to just, and then I start coaching, and just like I would at work. So what did you learn from that moment? What could we have done better? How can we make sure that next time, maybe it's our test taking skills. What are the things that we can do in order to improve ourselves? And so oftentimes my kids will see that my parenting is also linked to my own leadership growth journey and my leadership skills and how am I leading myself. Now, don't get me wrong. There's plenty of times where I'm yelling at home and we're probably not the best leader at work, but you find that balance of coaching people and making sure, and just like you would your family, you're coaching at work as well, right? And so there are sometimes that very symbiotic relationship, and you'll see that, and sometimes we'll even have teams. We'll be very protective of our teams, and we're, I definitely become a mom at work, and we have to be able to find the balance of being a mom and also coaching our teams. So definitely there is a huge crossover between your home life and your work life. So multitasking is extremely important. Here's a list of things that I can do in an hour. I can be on a team call. I can order groceries on Instacart. I can figure out what we're going to have for dinner. I can mediate a battle between Sean and Rohan. I can probably answer 7 Teams messages, and I can still show up on a sponsor meeting with a smile, all within an hour, right? And so multitasking is that superpower that we have. When we're at work for most of the day, and being able to balance both home and work is key for us. And so that's often stuff that I'm doing throughout the day in order to balance both. So I have a couple of lessons. One, you don't have to do it all, right? Ask for help. It's not a weakness. It's your wisdom. You have to have your own sanity. You need to be able to delegate at home and at work, share the load. So all of my children cook and all of my children clean. Sonny sometimes laughs now. He's like, I miss your cooking. And I'm like, I know, but the kids are really good at it. So, Sean's always making menus and deciding what we're eating for the evening. So I will call and say, Moms, what's for dinner? And I say, you and Sean decide what you would like. Not only from our families, and I know in some cultures, children cooking and what should we do, but our boys actually have a passion for it. They're big foodies and they enjoy it. And so, being able to ask for help within your home and delegating tasks to help share the load is key. When I would come home from work, I would say, okay, if I'm making dinner, the boys, you have to clean up. One of you is doing the counters. The other one's going to be doing the dishes. The other one's picking up from the family room. That's how it all started. I have a video of Sean when he was three and a half. I think, I had just, I'd been in our family room and I had just finished working out, and I went upstairs to take a shower, and I come downstairs and I hear, ooh, and I come down, and Sean's vacuuming the family room. And he's like, Mommy, the house is so dirty. And he's literally at 3.5, 4 vacuuming the house. And so, I have all these wonderful videos and memories that I have of them. But we started at a young age because I never expected myself to have to do everything. I knew I needed help, and I was okay with asking for it, and even coaching my kids to do it. For me, the big thing is eventually they're going to get married, and I know that they're going to have dual income homes. I'm expecting it. I'm expecting, in order to have a good life nowadays, both spouses need to work. It's just the cost of living. And so I want to make sure that my boys know that they're equal contributors to the home. So it's not just helpful for you, you're also teaching your kids life skills that they'll need when they grow up, and how they'll be really good partners for their spouses, not only for the girls, but also for the boys, right? And so we share the load at home. And then I built a village around me. I often mention my father-in-law. One of the funniest stories that I have is for, when Rohan used to go to school, his school was about 45 minutes away from the home. And dad would take the boys to school every day. And so I remember coming out of the garage, and there's Rohan, and my father-in-law said, Daji, very proud. And Rohan is, I think, 16 at this time, and they're pulling out of the driveway. And, those of you who know American, pop music, all of a sudden I see, rap music is pumping in the car, and I hear, you see me rolling. And my father-in-law's head is like bumping as they're driving out of the driveway. And it was just so funny, but it was also it was such a special moment because our kids have such a bond with their grandfather. And it's, having that village around you to support you and having the right people to help. I have all of these stories of different people like who, would pick up, the boys that were Rohan from Kuman. We had a Mr. Patel who the boys always went to for math practices. And I would have my friend Gogi would go and pick them up, and I would drop off. We find balance. And so you need to just be able to find, whether that's your family, whether that's your friends, and you'll be surprised. Your kids will also develop very strong bonds with those people. And it's so important for you. So it's okay. You don't have to do it all. Ask for help, delegate within your home, and build your village. There's people around you who are more than happy to support you. Sometimes it's harder for us to ask for the help than it is for them to give it. They're more than happy to support you, right? Sometimes you have to take strategic time for yourselves as well, right? Sometimes balancing for work and life, you have to figure out. So I live, breathe, die by my calendar. I know one time it was funny. The girls were asking us, I'll post things in our EA chat, and I'll say, hey, make sure you block this for size calendar. Is it available on this day? Because we have one big calendar. And in it, I will put all of our personal items. I will put all of our work items so that we can see where are we integrating our personal life, our professional life, our social life. We're very big social beings, our kids' stuff, to make sure that we find that good balance. So I would definitely recommend that you integrate all your commitments. You should have only one calendar so you don't miss anything, right? And you have to have block time for focus work, right? Like when you need to be a mom, as in today, I found a balance, right? I can be on my meeting, but I can still be a mom and come and pick up my kid from Boston, right? I need to honor my schedule as well, right? I'm also treating personal commitments with the same respect that I am my professional ones. You just have to be able to find that balance and be able to do both, right? And so finding time and having a very strong calendar system where you know exactly what's happening on what day. I love doing, so I do a lot of langar seva at the Gurdwara. My langar seva is even on my calendar, right? What days am I going to do? What days is it my turn? Where am I going to be? What am I doing? Everything is on my calendar. If I'm going to the gym, it's going to be on my calendar. If I have a dance practice with friends, it's going to be on my calendar. Every personal commitment that I have is always on the same one calendar so that I can figure out, hey, where am I supposed to be? When am I supposed to be there? And so I would strongly recommend when you're multitasking, that's one of the things that you should have is one integrated calendar so you don't miss anything. Some days success is just getting up out of bed, and it could be, for me, it's a hashtag win, get a sponsorship. And other days it's, hey, I just need to take a time out for myself, right? So be able to appreciate your wins, right? And redefine your success daily, right? I have professional wins and then I have family moments. Today, Sahib is going to write his MCAT. I woke up early to wake him up, to make sure he was up, checking to see, okay, you're at the testing center. Great. He's group chatting us, and I'm doing all of this with everything else. So everyday success is different, right? You try to maintain your emotional balance. You do daily resets. Okay, yesterday was a different day. Today is a new day. And so I give myself grace each day. I don't expect perfection each day. I celebrate different wins each day. And so what your definition of success is, it's defined by you and nobody else. Sometimes hey, this didn't get done, or some families, we come home and, oh, this wasn't done or that wasn't done. Don't define your success by that, right? Remember, at the end of the day, your opinion of yourself defines you the most. And so take the win in whatever that win is for the day, but just appreciate the win. It's part of being able to appreciate and have gratitude for the little things that you do have in your life. It always doesn't have to be a big win. It can be a small win, but you have to be able to appreciate it and recognize that a small win is okay, and then reset the next day. Kids can't, they need us to be on all the time. And so we can't afford to, there are days where we have to reflect, and I'm sure a lot of people are reflecting today, but we have to be able to move forward. We have to be able to be that balance and that calming influence for ourselves and for our families. So I remember, and I'm pretty sure, and I'd love everybody else has a story that they'd want to share. So I literally was, so those of you who've been with us for a while, you'll remember JHI. They were a very large customer for us when we were doing managed services. And I remember Sean was literally 6 days old and we were on a call. And now Sean was a very quiet baby. At the time, at least the first 6 days, didn't think anything would happen. And so here I am in the office and I'm like, okay, here, let me feed the baby. At the same time, I'm on the call and then, and I'm talking and all of a sudden you hear, right in the middle of the call. And they're like, oh, we think somebody's joined the call for us. They were ecstatic that I was on the call. They're like, didn't you just give birth? And I was like, yeah. And I kid you not, that was probably the first time that Sean had ever wailed in his 6 days that he had been born. And he happened to do it on the JHI call. So he was definitely on the call. Now, I don't recommend having children in the background when you're having client calls ever again. But, you are able to manage some work responsibilities and professional responsibilities at the same time. I practice juggling, right? And finding balance. And I know when COVID hit and we were all working from home, there was that fine balance of us working at home and children coming into the screens and saying, Mom, what are you doing? Or I'm hungry and I need a snack. But it definitely is, a balancing act. And we started it very early with our kids as well. And you guys have met a lot of them. Sean is very gung-ho about the office and coming to work now. And he's so engaged in ITBD. And I always laugh. I said, it's because he started with the company when he was just 6 days old. And so he may be one of our longest running members behind Javed and Kipi. Now, I know a lot of you have night shifts and there's also cultural expectations. It's a challenge. You're working in a different time zone. I actually enjoy and I like working the night shift, especially when I come to India, because I find that I get so much work done during the day. It makes me so productive. But you are definitely night shift warriors, right? You find a balance. You take care of all of your daily responsibilities, not only for your families, your own kids and your husbands, but your families as well, whether that's your in-laws who are living with you and the extended families. But you're also, hey, getting ready for work and coming and being a productive and contributing member to your families as well. It's a challenge, and we understand and we appreciate that as well. But it's a norm as well, right? And it shows our cultural resilience, right? Where we can manage the traditional expectations of us as moms and as wives, but also still have modern careers. It's your own value of self-worth, right? And what did you contribute? So I always, and I'm always telling girls, and I say, hey, look, I've loved motherhood, but I've also really appreciated the fact that I've always been a working mom. And I recognize and I value those parents that who do want to stay at home and raise children. But I personally, I find that I'm a better mom because I have that balance and I have that insight and I have the ability to have my own person and be a mom, right? I'm not just their mom. I'm also Kam Kaila, right? And I have that good balance. And so I know there's expectations, but then give yourself just a little bit more grace, right? Maybe you can't do everything. It's okay to have leftovers 2 nights in a row, right? Maybe ask your spouse to help with homework. You don't have to be the only one doing it. And it's okay to send them to tuition, right? To send them to tutoring. If you don't have time to do the support, you're still supporting your children by acknowledging and getting them that help. Remember to appreciate the little moments. You don't have to do everything. You have to show up when it matters, right? So being present during your parenting, I don't have to be, like today is a perfect example. I don't have to be in every moment, but I have to be in this moment when Rohan wants me here to help pick him up and to meet someone for him, right? I need to be present for Sahib, and he knows when I wake up at 6 a.m. and I'm like, wake up, baby. You got to get up. You got your test this morning. Let's go. And he's calling his mom, right? You need to be able to find joy in the small things, right? It's not always those big moments. It's those little moments that you have with your kids. We do road trips with Shanu and he loves them. And, he's always talking politics with me as he's coming up on the ride and this is happening and that's happening. And this is, being present in that moment. Some of those car rides are his favorite moments with us, just because it's just very focused time with us. So it doesn't have to be big, grand moments. It's showing up when they want, and they need you to be there, right? And just being engaged with them, right? Making sure you're present and you're listening to them when they come home, right? And just saying, how was your day? And listening to them as they go, blah, 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 and they're talking all about school and their parents and making sure that, you're present when the moment is needed to be there, right? Like when they're talking to you and you're having conversations and taking those little moments, it's not having to be there for everything. It's being there for the moments that matter. And so those micro moments are special. And so you can take those wins. 3 tips that I have for you to keep your sanity. Have a morning routine, right? Realistic is better than perfect, right? You don't always have to be perfect. Make sure that when Sean was little, I would always, get up downstairs as he's walking out the door. I'd watch him go to the bus stop, right? He would know, okay, if mom's had a late night or I've come in from work, I didn't have to make I have somebody who had made the breakfast for him, but I would be at that window and I would be watching him and I would say goodbye, right? And he knew that. And I was okay with that. When the older boys were growing up, okay, it was a different story, but you have to be able to find that balance and have good morning routines, but have the consistency of your morning routine. You can say no without guilt. Okay. You have to be able to say no to things. I can't do this. No, we cannot, I can't go to your PTA meeting and I don't want to be a member of the PTA, right? You have to have boundaries to protect your own energy. And remember to treat yourself like a client. Prioritize your needs too. Take your moments. What gives you joy? Right? Like I always laugh, and all of you know I love dancing with my friends. That gives me joy. So I prioritize those moments too for myself. If I can be here, and if I leave at 8 o'clock to go to a dance practice, I'm going to run to a dance practice at 8 p.m. and come home by 9, right? Or 9:30. Just it gives me my moments as well, and what I need to keep my sanity. So remember, have your routine, but it doesn't have to be a perfect routine. Just have the routine so that you have that consistency for yourself and it's realistic. Uh, don't be afraid to say no. It's okay. And you don't have to be guilty about it that I couldn't do it. Oh my God, I feel so bad. No, it's okay. You couldn't do it. And then remember to treat yourself like a client, right? And prioritize your own needs as well sometimes, right? I have to take a day for myself. I just need a moment. I can't go anywhere. I want to sit on the couch with my dogs, and I just want to watch HGTV, and I don't want to do anything, and I just need a few hours to myself. That's all I need. And that's okay. You have to be okay to have your days to keep your own sanity. Okay? To the managers out there as well, right? We need to be able to support our moms on our teams. Sometimes we need to just ask them, "How you doing? You okay?" Right? It shouldn't be just, "How are you?" If they're like, "Yeah, I'm okay." What's wrong? Go that next step. Ask them, "Is everything okay? Can I support you?" What's that next step? Right? Maybe something did come up with the family. We as team members, we need to be able to be flexible for them and help accommodate for them. Right? We want to support their growth as well. Right? And so we're going to be pushing you as well and saying, "Hey, what's that next step in your career? What can we do?" Right? But we also want to be able to show empathy when you have those dual pressures, right? And when you have to be able to take that balance. And so, I'm definitely one who will always provide grace, and say it's okay. You got to do what you got to do. We're mommies first, and we understand that. But I'm also going to push you, and I'm going to support you and say, "Hey, what about your professional career as well?" So let's find that balance, for ourselves. And I'm sure our managers will make sure that they're there to help support you as well. So remember, okay, I want us all to take a moment. Just stop, think about it. I'm going to give you 10 seconds. What is your superpower? What do you think that you do? What's one trait that you are so proud of that you do really, really, really well? And you can come off of mute. Anybody there? And I want to know it's something that helps you both at home and at work, right? So, what's one thing that you do really, really well when you're balancing, at home and work life? So, ladies, those of you who are on there, if you can come off of mute, what's one thing that you do really, really well that you could share with others? Rita put in the chat, I think, let's see, she said, "Stay calm." So, she's calm, even in chaos. Anybody else? You can come off mute and share.
I can go, Cam.
Sure, Manmeet.
Yeah. So, Cam, one thing which I think I do well as a mother is being present with them, whether it is celebrating their little wins, listening without distraction, or just being with them, hugging them when it's needed the most. No matter how busy life gets it, I make sure that my child is my priority and I ensure that I am with him. So that's what I do, Cam.
No, very good. One thing you just mentioned the power of a hug.
Yeah.
The power of a hug, and I think that's really important. It's funny. My kids, whenever they know that mom is mad at me, they're gonna come up to me. They're gonna give me a big hug and they go, "Oh, mommy, I love you." And they know that mom's not gonna be mad anymore. Like it's just a hug. They know that's it. That's all they gotta do, and they've won me over. And I'm a weak win over. That's all they have to do, right? 100%. Being present is very important. What about you, Preeti? Preeti, can you come off mute?
Sorry.
There we go.
It's staying calm and do not overreact to the situations.
Oh, good. So can you give us an example?
Yeah, whenever his result is out, expectations are more than what he's performing. But I stay calm, just motivating him that success is most important. You have to put your best, and that is what his school puts in it.
Yes, 100%. I got that call the other day. Mom, the first call that you get is, Mom, I don't think I did well. And it's, I just need you to call, say it's okay. And that's what they're expecting from us, that it's okay. Right. So staying calm is very important, putting things in perspective for them. What about you, Nidhi?
Yeah, I just wrote in there in the chat box that I take care of myself and I prioritize myself so that I don't lose my cool when I'm not supposed to, and I focus on work and home both.
So how do you take care of yourself, Nidhi? Well, what are some examples of prioritizing yourself?
Yes, sure. So I wake up early and I spend close to 2 hours. That's my me time, where my mornings are pretty slow. I have a cup of coffee. I do my affirmations. I do meditation a little bit, walk, exercise. That's something that I've started recently. Exercise and walk, and yeah, and then I have my breakfast. I paint, which is how I take care of myself when I say I prioritize and take care of myself. And yes, then connecting with my son, asking him how he plans his day, having that small conversation with him, and then off to work.
Yeah, that's great. Making sure that you have time for yourself is really, really important. Can we get Kai? Did I say that right? Kaia?
And you've got some hands up as well.
Oh, I can't see them.
So we have
if you
so we have Gayatri. Kam,
okay.
Gayatri is there, yeah.
And thank you, Namika. Thank you, Rita. So I try to make a safe, warm, and loving environment for him. So every day when I go back home, so I spend approx half an hour with him. Then I do start my work if that's pending, that's there. So I listen to him everything he tells me of his school, the at home, whatever he has done. So that's something I try to make a very warm and safe environment for him. So I always say, Mama is there, tell me whatever happened. So once and something, I would say notish thing also, he tells me, and then he's like bit scared that now Mama will scold me. So I say, it happens. It's your time. You have to do it.
Yeah. No, that's wonderful. Anybody, Anamika, can you help with the hand?
Yes, Kam. Swati has to share. Yeah.
So like no matter what, because even if I'm busy, I take out the time wherein I listen to them and keep on encouraging. That is really important because even ups and downs, it's really important to keep them motivated that whatever they are doing, I am with you. You're gonna excel for sure. Don't worry.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Making sure that they know that they can come to you, right? So you create an open and warm home, right? Why is it that we always say mom, right? Whenever we need something, we want our mom, right? So that's the same for our kids, right? And so we've created that warm and welcoming environment for them. That's wonderful. Who else do I have, Anamika?
No one else. But Kam, I have a question for actually everyone, if I may ask.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. All right. So I have a question for everyone that what is one of the most valuable lessons that you have learned from your mother, wife, or another maternal figure in your life?
Yeah.
Okay, so can I pick some people? Maybe Rita, if you'd like to please share.
Oh, wow. From my mother, what have I learned? You know what? I have learned actually from Kam the importance of children getting those physical shows of affection. I'm not as physical, like I don't always do that the way that Kam does. And I see whenever she's doing it with her kids, how much it means to them, all the hugs, all the kisses. My boys are older now, so when I try to hug and kiss them, they kind of like, what are you doing, mother? But, so, but yeah, that's one of the things. So I try now very hard with my nieces and my nephews to kind of be more like Cam and be more physically affectionate with them. So it's one of the things that I've learned from Cam.
The power of a hug. I remember one time my nephew was at our house and he was horrified. He's like, Mom, he's like telling Rita, they hug their mom before they leave the house. He's like, and I was like, yeah, they give me hugs and kisses before they leave the house. And that's okay. That hug and that kiss is really, that it's very important. And that affection, I think, is extremely. But who was next?
Okay, Gina, would you like to share?
Yeah.
From my mom, definitely patience and care. But since she's not a working woman and she's a housewife, always been a housewife. But I have, it's been almost 12 years working in the company with ITBD community. I worked directly with Cam for so many years. And when I was managing her calendar and working on the sales side, I could see her calendar taking to the Bhangra classes, baking classes, and on top of that, taking all the sales calls and meetings. I was like, how she does it all? So,
calendar.
And then she has 3 kids, and I just have one. Why can't I manage just one person, kid at home? So there was always a question, how she does it all? And so many things I've learned through my journey in here. And I would say, the way she said, it's okay, you can't do it all. Ask for help. And there is a time now I reached to the point that I have delegated almost every task or responsibility to my husband. And last time when I was talking to Cam, she was like, are you a good wife? Because I assigned most of the task and delegated to my husband, and I tried to be there, but a lot of things I moved because of my night schedule. I cannot be there all the time, and I cannot drop my son in the morning to school because I hardly sleep for 2 hours before that. So it's hard to get up. So those kind of things I think matters when you talk to someone and they share their knowledge. And those moments matter. And I think it's okay to talk about your challenges with the person you can trust. They share so much knowledge and the information that you don't even think about it. And so thank you, Cam. So I think it's always, there should be someone you can trust or talk about your problems.
Ask for help.
Yeah, and then ask for help.
Great. We'd love to speak with so many beautiful moms, but I think, we have a time stop. It's already 8:58. So I think, so I think we'd, like to wrap up. But definitely, I think it was a lovely, lovely conversation. And thank you so much to all of you who shared your incredible memories, lessons, and stories, from leadership to front lines, from late night shifts to early morning check-ins. Your honesty and strength are truly inspiring. You've shown us that being a working mom isn't about doing it perfectly. It's also about doing it with purpose, love, and grit. So on behalf of everyone here today, I really want to thank each one of you for your time, your courage, and your wisdom. You truly, all of you, are backbone to both your families and your workplace. And before we wrap up, I really wanted to thank Cam. Actually, not just me, but we all wanted to thank Cam for those beautiful and powerful reflections, Cam. Your words really reminded us how deeply connected leadership and motherhood can be, both requiring patience, perspective, and a whole lot of heart. We're so grateful for the authenticity and care you brought into the session with all of us today, and for the example you set both as a leader and a mother.
Oh, well, thank you. And I want to remind all of you moms, and even if for the gentlemen, and a reminder for your wife, give yourself grace. It's okay. You don't have to be perfect. We're far from perfect. And I don't think anybody is. You just have to be able to be the best version of yourself, and your children will love you, right? Be present and available for them. You don't need to give them 10 hours, but give them, the 30 minutes focused time to have those conversations with you. Take your moments, do your road trips, right? And this is not just for the moms, but for the dads too. Sunny takes so many road trips with Sean. Those are some of their favorite times. right? And even with the boys, like he went to Everest with Sahib, right? And he takes moments with each and every one of the kids. Like it doesn't have to be quantity; it's quality. Um, Having grace. Remember to always integrate your calendars and find your community. Remember to help you and being able to delegate. And at the end of the day, don't forget about yourself, right? And take a moment, because a happy mom is a happy family. If there is no happy mom, then your family will sense it, and your kids can always sense it when you're unhappy. So take a moment for yourself, and we're hardest on ourselves. So just give yourself a little bit of grace, and be grateful with what you have, and you'll be good. And it's okay if you can't do everything, but do what you can the best that you can, and give everybody a hug.
Thank you so much, Kam, and happy Mother's Day to all the beautiful mothers out there. And until we meet next time, stay curious, stay kind, and don't forget to live life by design and not by default. I'll see you on Friday, all of you.